Babe,
Yes.
why don't people call you Violenza?
Because they never would pronounce it right.
Ah, did you not like your name? Did you like the name Violenza? Or?
Well, it was kind of hard to stand up in class when I was in grade school and say my name, and then the kids would snicker behind my back.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Talk a little bit about your mom and dad. Tell me what you remember about your dad. I know he was a famous sculptor.
Yep.
Can you tell us what sculptures he did and where?
He did the Indian God of Peace in the St. Paul Courthouse.
He helped, and didn't your brother help with that also?
Yeah.
They both helped with
yeah.
that.
Silverio worked on the little figurines at the bottom.
Okay.
But my dad sculpted the whole head and face
Oh.
of the statue.
Was he friends with the Mayo brothers?
Well, yes, he was.
Okay.
Yes, he was.
How did he know them?
I think through the company sending him down and saying that this is what he was supposed to do with
Okay.
them. And yeah, he was friends with the Mayo brothers.
What company did he work for?
Drake
Marble Company.
Drake Marble and Tile.
Okay. You mentioned also, too, I didn't know this, but you mentioned recently that he had been asked to work on, in South Dakota, on the, what's it called?
On
Help me out, babe. What's it called?
Yeah, the Black Hill.
Mount Rushmore.
Mount
You're right.
Rushmore.
There we go.
Yeah,
I had a brain freeze.
yeah.
But you mentioned that he'd been asked to help and he was going to do that, but then he didn't.
Well, he did start on George Washington,
Okay.
but Silverio and I, felt that being that my mother was no longer alive, and we didn't want to be minus the father too. That was just too dangerous work for him to be up there doing that kind of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he quit that job and settled for working down on the ground.
I recall that at one time you also mentioned he had traveled around the world and did some work in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, or maybe Brasilia. Do you recall any of that work that he did?
I don't recall any of that work that he did there.
It was,
no.
Was it before you were born?
Yeah.
Okay. And then also he did some work, I think, on Ellis Island in New York. You mentioned that also. That
Oh, yeah. He did some work on Ellis Island. And that picture that you showed me, that was done by him, and it was people that were, I suppose, migrating over here. I don't know.
Immigrants from,
Immigrants coming over.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit more about your dad, Egisto. What do you remember most about him? What kind of man was he?
Oh, he was I would say, just a meek and mild person. He just was very, very lovable. I mean, and always asked what we children wanted after my mother had passed away. And
he was so talented.
yeah, he was very talented. He would play the guitar and the piano, and he would try anything. You know, mandolin, accordion.
He wrote poetry also, didn't he?
Yeah. He wrote poetry, and I remember when I was a little child, I would sit on his lap, and he had from working with the marble and the chisels, he had a callus that was very gigantic in his hand. And when I was small, he would just let me pinch it all the time. I'd pinch it to see if it hurt, And he said, go ahead and pinch, pinch. And I would just pinch and pinch and pinch. And it was just as hard as work.
So you were kind of as a little girl, you were kind of feisty.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah?
More so than my brother.
Really? And Siv was more of a...
He was the mild, meek one.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. But you were very fiery.
Very fiery, like my daughter.
And then what about your mom? What do you remember? I know there was a time when your mom was one way. You have told me before of what a good mother she was.
She was a good mother.
She changed. So
Yes.
tell me first what she was like before she changed.
Well, I mean, she was a wonderful, wonderful cook. And she was a very lovable person, but then something went wrong with her mind. And there were many times that she would just leave the house and we would never know where she was. Mm-hmm. And there was one time when they found her down in, she had jumped into a sewer. Mm-hmm. And I myself felt that she was trying to commit suicide. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned that to my dad, and he would say, oh, no, no. But I felt in my heart that that's what she was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you had said that she was very clean.
Very clean.
And loved cats. I remember you talking some of the stories about her scrubbing floors and
she would lay newspapers after she scrubbed the floors. She would lay newspaper down all over the floors and just let the cats run over the newspaper and slide and do anything they wanted to. But if we did that, we were told about it.
yeah.
Siv and I were not to do that.
Yeah. What were some of the best recipes she had? What food did she make that you remember the most?
Ravioli.
Homemade ravioli?
Yeah.
It was good, huh?
And I used to help her make them. And then there was another one that we had. It was potato noodles.
Gnocchi?
Gnocchis.
Gnocchis.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then a lot of times I would run them through the inside of the colander.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then your dad, he made wine sometimes, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
How did he do that?
Well, he would have crates and crates and crates of grapes delivered, and they would send them through the basement window, and then they'd set them all down there, and then he had some kind of a wine press down there, and he had that going all the time, and I remember the gnats coming up from the basement up into the kitchen, which were the product of the
fermentation.
Yeah, fermentation and all that.
Tell me about your house on Margaret Street. What do you remember about that house and the neighborhood?
It was small. It was 2 bedrooms downstairs and 1 bedroom upstairs, and a living room and a kitchen and a dining room. But it was a small bungalow.
And it was a nice neighborhood at the time?
At the time, it was a nice neighborhood. We were only about half a block from the Margaret Street playground, and that's where Siv and I used to go and ice skate and play ball and all that stuff.
Do you remember any restaurants you used to go to? You were near Little Italy, weren't you?
Damiani.
Oh, okay. And your Russos?
And your Russos.
And Julia Barghini was a friend of your mother's.
Very good.
Was she probably your mother's only friend, do you
I
think?
think she was my mother's only friend, I'm pretty sure.
What do you remember about her?
About Julia? Oh, she was a great help to me when my mother passed away. And always willing to help me with anything. And she was willing to help my mother with anything too.
So according to the documents, court documents I have, your father said that Armida just changed one year. She just wasn't the same person. Can you tell me what you remember of that, or what you think happened?
I think that at the time that she changed is when she was going through the change, herself.
Yeah, I know that's what
It was
you
menopause.
thought. That's what the doctor thought.
Yeah.
And then they put her in St. Peter's mental institution
Yes,
for a while.
Yes.
And what was that like? Did you go visit her?
I don't remember too much of that time because my dad didn't like to expose me to all that. But I do remember going up and visiting her.
How old were you at this time?
Oh my! I must have been in my teens.
Your mother was still fairly young, and I know at the time when I researched the book, we found out that that there were thyroid issues that they discovered after the war that cleaned out a lot of these mental institutions, and because it affects your mind.
Yes.
And you yourself have had your thyroid removed.
Yes.
And it's kind of a inherited thing.
I think it's an inherited thing.
And your mother's sisters also had
Thyroid.
Yeah, and remember, 2 of your mother's sisters were actually institutionalized also.
Yeah.
So there is that theory that what was really happening was some thyroid issues.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, I thought, babe, is that when I began researching your family, and I asked you, you didn't know if your mom and dad had actually had a divorce or not. And it wasn't until I wrote Ramsey County and the courthouse sent me the documents that we discovered that there actually had been a divorce.
Yeah.
That was quite a shock to
Yeah.
find that out.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all either.
After the war, when your father, you said he hired a detective and spent a lot of money and a lot of time to try and locate your mother because no one knew what happened to her. She left for Italy. You said that she would send letters that you would write back and forth, and then that stopped when the war was nearing the end. And then she just fell off the map.
Yeah.
And after the war, your dad hired a detective. And can you tell me what you recall of what your dad told you about the results of that investigation?
Well, he would just say to us, he would never say that she up and left us. I mean, he would just say that she had to go back for something in Italy and talk to her family, do something. It was always nothing derogatory.
Right.
It was always he was always thinking of us and what it would do to us.
He could have just left her over there and just, because when he found her, he actually had her body moved back down to Ripa and buried her in the family plot.
Yes.
He didn't have to do that.
No.
So that's an amazing thing. I recall you saying that the detective had talked to people in the village where she died, where they found her body, and that she had been drowned, but that there were also markings on her body that indicated to him that she was murdered.
Yeah. Well, I feel that she was murdered because we found there was a room that was found where she had tried to claw her way out of it. And so I think that she was held prisoner for some time.
You said they found long slivers of wood underneath her fingernails.
Yes.
And bruises all on her neck.
Yes.
And the people in the village had talked about an SS officer abusing her.
Yes.
So,
and then locked her in a closet.
Yeah. And those were just fascinating details that really sparked my imagination about this whole story. So, going back a little bit, tell me about your childhood, your friends. I know you were a skater. You loved to ice skate. Can you tell us a little bit about what you did ice skating?
Well, I was with the Hippodrome Ice Skating Club, and I belonged with Marcel, my friend, across the street. And it was a big club, and there was a young fella in the club by the name of Johnny Smouse, and he had a way of skating. He taught all of us how to skate so that we could skate steadily for 4 hours straight and not stop. Because we used to skate, the motion would be from our knees down. We never put our hips into our ice skating. And that's why we were able to compete for 4 hours that we could skate. And then we appeared in two spectacular shows that were put on at the auditorium. And one had Sonia Henney in it, and the other had Ruth Chandler. And they were both professional skaters that came, and we backed them up.
Tell our readers how old you are. We haven't told them how old you are. I think they'll be surprised.
I'm 93.
Yes, in amazing shape. And you were a great golfer. You were golfing up until not that long ago, and
That's right.
hitting holes in one, and
Yeah, there's 3 holes in one.
you ran some marathons in your 80s.
And yes, in the Bix. They called it the Bix, and it was held in St. Paul, and
Or in Davenport.
I mean in Davenport.
Davenport, yes.
Yeah, and this Bix Beiderbecke was a young musician who ruined his whole life by alcohol.
Oh.
And he died at a very young age. So they named this here race after him, and his name was Bix Beiderbecke.
Babe's also a great pianist. We love hearing you play the piano. You still play, and you're just an incredible talent. You're a Renaissance woman, Babe.
Yeah,
Like your father.
yeah.
So tell us about that trip in 1959, what you remember about meeting your Bertozzi family members for the first time, and what you thought of Italy. What did you think of the Bertozzi family when you met them? Was it?
Oh, I thought they were all wonderful.
Did you feel like you were at home, kind of?
I felt like I was at home, yes.
You look so much like your cousins. It's remarkable, Babe, when we go back, how
Really?
the family resemblance is so strong.
Yeah.
Yes. When you were back in 1959, did your father take you to your mother's grave?
Oh, yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember that. He did take me to the grave and showed me where she was buried. And it brought back many memories.
I bet.
Yeah.
I think the biggest shock of all, I know for Dave and I, was when we went to Italy that first time and we found out that your father had been in love with another woman. And even you didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that.
And in the divorce papers from Ramsey County, he mentions that she's insanely jealous and keeps talking about this other woman, and he said there's nothing to it. And because we had just received that document before we went to Italy the first time, when we discovered that, all the puzzle pieces started coming together.
Oh.
And because you didn't know where your parents were married, you didn't know how they met.
No.
Everything was such a mystery.
It was a mystery. A big mystery.
So hopefully we've connected some of the dots with Bianca's Vineyard and resolved some of that. But is there anything you'd like to say as we close here about your history, about what you remember, anything special that we've kind of missed?
That I kind of missed.
That I missed?
That you missed.
Asking you that might be important or relevant?
I can't remember anything.
What's your secret to long life, Babe?
My secret what?
For being a healthy 93-year-old woman?
what's the secret for my long life?
Yes, what's your secret?
I often wonder that myself with all the ailments I went through. They told me when I had my thyroid removed and then part of my calcium was taken out, that I wouldn't live to be very old. And here I am, older.
93.
Not older than anybody in the whole family.
You have the Bertozzi genes. They all are very healthy and they live to be quite
It was, excuse me, I think it was because I was very active.
Yes.
Very active in sports, very active in life, and I just kept saying to myself, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving.
Well, shall we say goodbye like they do in Italy? How they take their hands and they say ciao ciao?
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao ciao.
Ciao, ciao.